I never thought it would come to this. Standing in the living room we once decorated together, surrounded by memories that felt like ashes now. Her voice cold and sharp as a blade slicing through every fragile thread that held my love for her intact. When she said it, "I regret ever loving you." And the air was sucked from the room like a vacuum had swallowed the last breath of hope from my lungs, because those words weren't just cruel, they were calculated, precise, emotionless, as if she'd been rehearsing them in the mirror waiting for the moment I'd be vulnerable enough to collapse under them. And I was, but I didn't collapse. Not yet, not then, not in front of her. Instead I stood there, still holding the small velvet box in my hand, the ring I'd upgraded without her knowing because she always said she dreamed of something simpler, more timeless, and I listened. God, I listened to every wish she ever whispered in the dark and carved them into my soul, into every surprise I planned, into every silent sacrifice I made just to make her smile, the same smile she now used to mock me when she met someone new, someone more ambitious, someone more alive, someone who probably didn't carry the weight of her world on his shoulders like I did, and maybe that's what she wanted. Someone lighter, someone easier, someone who wouldn't stand in the way of her illusions of freedom. But I wasn't holding her back, I was just holding on, hoping that maybe, just maybe she'd remember the man who stood by her when she lost her job and spiraled into depression, the man who skipped sleep for 3 days straight to help her finish her portfolio, the man who cooked, cleaned, consoled, and carried her through every emotional storm while pretending not to drown himself. But none of that mattered to her now, not when the thrill of someone new seduced her pride and erased her guilt, not when lies came easier than truths and betrayal felt like empowerment. Not when she weaponized silence and used it to pierce my sanity day after day, until I finally broke and went searching, not through her phone, she was too careful for that, but through the sudden changes. Late-night texts she said were from coworkers, the lingering perfume that wasn't hers, the phone calls taken in whispers from the balcony, and the way she stopped asking me about my day, like I didn't matter anymore, like I had become a fixture in the house instead of the man she once cried to when we watched sunsets from the hood of my beat-up car. And I knew deep down something was off, so I confided in my best friend Mark, and even he, who never wanted to judge, told me something wasn't right. So I planned, not out of spite but out of desperation, out of a need for clarity, and I staged it all. The weekend trip I told her I was going on, the subtle tracker on the spare keys, the voice recorder tucked under the couch, and the neighbor who agreed to watch and tell me if anyone came in or out. And sure enough, on the second night, she brought him in, the man with the smug smirk I'd only seen once in a company party photo she accidentally left open on her laptop, and the laughter, the clinking of wine glasses, the moaning. It all felt like knives in my ears, but I didn't burst in, I didn't scream or cry or rage. I waited, collected everything I needed, and when she returned to me like nothing had happened, pretending to be tired from work, I let her lie again, let her live in the comfort of her deception, while I rebuilt the truth brick by brick, evidence stacked with surgical precision, photos, audio, even a confession she unknowingly made to her friend on a voice note, all stored, backed up, protected, because when someone dismantles your heart with lies, you can't just fight back with words, you fight with truth, undeniable and brutal. And when the day came, I didn't yell, I simply placed the laptop on the table, hit play, and walked into the kitchen to make coffee, letting her absorb every sound, every sigh, every kiss that didn't belong to us. And when it ended, there was silence, not from me but from her, as she realized I knew, had known. And then the tears came, but they weren't mine, they were hers finally, but too late. And she tried to speak, to apologize, to rewind the clock with empty words, but I didn't want apologies, I didn't want tears, I wanted honesty, and she had shattered that long ago. So when she said it, that final blow, I regret loving you, I didn't argue, I didn't ask why, because at that point, I had nothing left to salvage, nothing left to offer to a woman who could look me in the eye after desecrating everything we built and still believe she deserved to walk away unscathed. So I opened the box, pulled out the ring that should have been a renewal of our bond, and let it fall, not thrown, not tossed, just dropped, letting the soft, metallic ting echo louder than any scream. A sound that said everything I didn't need to say, and I turned around, walked past her, past the life we once shared, past the echo of her sobs, and out the door, not because I was weak, but because I was finally strong enough to stop begging to be loved by someone who only remembered me when it was convenient, who only saw me when I was gone. And as I stepped into the fresh air of a world I now faced alone, there was no fear, only freedom, the kind that comes when you survive the worst kind of betrayal, the one that makes You question your worth and still find the strength to rise, walk away, and never look back.